Keener.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
McAfee.
Here.
Strable.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Meehan.
Here.
7 present, no absent.
Next, we're going to skip to number 4 because we have a presentation from Sheffield Boyle, CPA, of the City Alton Report and Financial Statements.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Josh Andres. I'm principal at Sheffield Boyle on the audit engagement, and then tonight I have with me Tyler Jackson, who's the lead that does really all the work, so he deserves all the credit. Just want to first say thank you for allowing us to be here tonight, and thanks to Debbie, all the department heads, all those people that we bother in great detail. We appreciate the help and effort that they provide to get us to this point. So, handed everybody out a maroon booklet here. That is the full bound set of audited financial statements, and then inside each booklet there should be sort of a 3-page summarized handout of the audit that we'll go through, as well as then a letter with some required communication that we'll touch on as well. So, first thing, what we're really engaged to do is to come out to the city and gather enough support and evidence to then be able to provide an opinion on the financial statements themselves. So within the bound set of financial statements is the independent auditor's report, and this is really our portion of the audit itself. The financial portion, or the remaining, real information in the financial statements themselves, are the city's as a whole, and then we're providing an opinion on them. And so on the independent auditor's report, which is pages 1 through 3, the first paragraph is the opinion itself, and it says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly, in all material respects, the respective financial position of the City of Alton as of March 31st, 2023, in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It's a lot of words, but it really is what's referred to as an unmodified or clean opinion, which is the best opinion that we can provide, which means we were able to gather enough support and evidence to then provide that clean opinion. So while we were out here, and because the city expends more than $750,000 of federal funds in a year, we then have to perform what is called a single audit, and that is the federal government designating the local auditor to perform some additional steps on those federal funds that are received and expended during the year. So we kind of bring multiple audits together, and that's why they term it the single audit itself. So we had the ARPA monies and, quite a bit of dollars there that, easily pushed us over that $750,000 threshold. So we did do that single audit, and we were happy to report that there were no findings related to the single audit itself. And so through all that testing and those procedures and everything, checked out with what we were supposed to have. So that's a positive. As well as when we're out here, we have to do something what's under Yellow Book standards, and that is more compliance driven. And so we went through those processes as well. And we have to issue some findings mainly related to, which have been in the past before, us assisting in preparation of the financial statements themselves. The standards really say that you should hand us this booklet and we audit them, but I would say 99.9% of our clientele that we deal with have this same finding related to that. It's just not cost beneficial to have someone on staff to be able to keep up with all the standards and everything necessary. So that is in there, so at least wanted to mention that. So please stop me. We're going to kind of run through these numbers relatively quickly, and I know it's a lot to digest in a short period of time. So if anybody does come up with questions or anything later, please let us know. We'll be happy to answer at any point in time. Debbie has our contact information and can get that to you. So on the left-hand side of that sort of 3-page handout is the page number references to where that's located in the entire bound set of financial statements. And so first, kind of confusing, but there are really two sets of financial statements within this full bound audit. Pages 16 and 17 are what's presented on the full accrual basis of accounting, and then post page 17, it's then on the modified accrual basis of accounting. This is just standard requirements. So the difference between these two is on the full accrual, things such as your fixed assets or net pension liability or asset, and inflows and outflows related to those, as well as any debt. Those are all carried on the balance sheet and then utilized or written down over time, whereas the modified accrual, all those types of items are really kind of expensed as incurred, more a true kind of like cash basis method of accounting. So page 16 and 17, again, full accrual. And so really just wanted to, we got some highlights here, but the cash and cash equivalents, we gave a 2023, and again, this is as of March 31st. So, we're talking, months ago now. So, the picture may be different than what you're thinking about now, but this is as of March 31st. Cash on hand was $35.4 million, which was up about $4.1 million from 3/31/22. We had some ARPA monies plus increase in some tax revenues. CPPRT was up, gaming revenues were up. So, that helped with a better cash position as of 3/31. Fixed assets, again, this is what I mentioned where we set these up and depreciate them over their useful life. We had the big HVAC project that, went on. So there was about $7 million worth of additional fixed asset that on this set of financial statements is sitting on the balance sheet and then will be written off over time, which again, the ARPA funds helped, supplement that project. So that was the big piece there. And then a bunch of the rest of the accounts are deferred outflows, net pension liability, OPEB obligation, deferred inflows. Those are all related to the actuarial valuations that are done on other post-employment benefits, the police and fire pension, IMRF, all of those liabilities or obligations. We get reports from outside sources that then we adjust to report those numbers on the set of financial statements themselves. And so overall, there was a lot of change, but from the numbers themselves, they looked relatively consistent. A lot of that's based on the market themselves. So as the market does better or worse, depending on when their actuarial valuation is done, that will have a significant impact on those numbers themselves. The overall net position on the full accrual was $30.754 million, which was up about $23 million between 2023 and 2022. A big portion of this related to those police and fire pension funds. Those actuarial reports, we ended up having about $9.7 million of an adjustment based on actuarial adjustments and so on and so forth that increased the bottom line there, as well as then we had, all the ARPA and FEMA monies that came through as well. And that was roughly about $12 million. So, those are the two big pieces there that really created a difference between the 2022 year and the 2023 year. So then moving forward and really talking about, the income statement side of things, we kind of touched on some of those. And as far as the ARPA monies, grant revenues were up, CPPRT monies were up, gaming revenues were up. So from a revenue side, we were up about 30% between the 2 years, mainly related to those, additional funding mechanisms coming in. On the expense side of things, we were, relatively consistent, I'll say. We were up a little bit. We had about $36.5 million, which is up about $3.7 million from the prior year. A lot of that was related to how the adjustments were related to IMRF and the police and fire pension funds related to that. So the overall, change in net position was a positive $23 million for 3/31/23. So the general fund itself had cash and cash equivalents of $18.2 million as of 3/31, which was up about $3.3 million from the prior year. And sort of the fund balance remaining within the general fund, which were kind of the buildup of everything over time, was $14.5 million. So just thinking about that, we did have a positive year within the general fund. We do have about, as of 3/31, about 4 months worth of cash on hand. So, that's better position than what it was in the prior year, but, still something to pay attention to, as depending on timing of state revenues or funding mechanisms that can, create some situations where potentially there are cash flow shortages in times. In the general fund itself, we give a breakdown at the sort of the bottom of the page of the revenue side of things. Overall, we had $57.2 million worth of revenues within that general fund itself. Again, FEMA, ARPA, kind of a reoccurring theme there, as well as CPPRT and gaming revenues. Those were really the four big sources where we had about a $16 million increase in revenue stream in the general fund between the 2 years. If you flip over to the next page, it's kind of a breakdown of the general fund sort of schedule of expenses and where that is, and you'll see the biggest one is the other down at the bottom of that schedule, but that is up $7.5 million, and again, that is where that HVAC project, those expenditures are coming through in that general fund there, so that is why there is such an increase. There were some other changes. We had the Riverview Wall project, which was several $1 million. That is in the general government line item, so you'll see an increase there. And then we had some decreases as some other projects finished up in certain line items. But overall expenses, they were up about $11 million from the prior year, but the revenue side of things outweighed that, and that's why we ended up with a net positive position within the general fund itself. Below that is the sort of the business type activities or enterprise funds, which is the marina. And so that is presented sort of on a separate basis than the general fund and governmental funds. And so the operating loss for the year for the marina was $277,000 compared to about $200,000 in the prior year. And made up of that, have a little note there that, included in that is $250, almost $8,000 of depreciation expense, which is, writing off those assets over time. So that's not really a cash out the door sort of current year expense, but as the value of those assets on hand are written down, we have to take some of that into the expense in the current year. So if you took that out of the equation and looked at it on a more cash basis presentation, we were about break even within the marina, which is consistent between the 2 years. And then we have the police and fire pension funds that we present as fiduciary funds within the set of financial statements. Again, this is really driven, as most of the assets held there are investments. As the market goes, that kind of shows how the movement of those funds go. And we're presenting as of March 31st, and the market was down heavily at that point in time. So each of those funds do show a change in net position of a significant downturn. But that moves with the market. So as the market rebounds, those assets will turn and go the other direction. So I know I spit out a lot of numbers there real fast, and trying to follow along is probably not easy. But overall, some takeaways is positive in the general fund. We do have a better cash position again as of 3/31. We do have about 4 months of reserves on hand, but again, timing of when monies come in the door and everything, that can play a significant impact on whether or not that's sufficient or not. So, a couple things I also wanted to mention is we did have a new accounting standard that we had to implement in the current year, which was in regards to leases. So similar to a few years ago with the net pension liability and things like that, they now want to, the standard, which is referred to as GASB 87, wanted to bring, if you had long-term leases, onto the balance sheet itself, and then amortize those leases as they're utilized over time. So not a significant income statement impact, but there were some things that we had to go through we had cell tower leases and other leases of, equipment that we had to take into consideration. And so there were some adjustments related to that. And to complicate things even more, next year there's another new standard, which is called subscription-based information technology arrangements. So doing the same thing. So, for example, if you were to lease your software programs or things like that, again, they want to bring those sort of assets on the books for however long those are under contract. So some things we'll be getting with Debbie and other department heads about, just to try to make sure we're on top of that for this next fiscal year audit itself. So overall, that is the number side. I know I ran through it. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I ask every year just to kind of clarify. That general fund position, is that where I should look for, like, what people might commonly understand to be our deficit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sort of, that page where it's representing just, kind of the income statement will show the receipts, the disbursements, and really that general fund is, what most people would focus on, as most of the other funds are restricted type dollars that are levied for, or, grant revenues or some sort of position there, to where the operational side of things is really all flowing through that general fund. So. And then one other thing I have is a letter here, which is required communication with those charged with governance, which is you all, the board. And this is a letter that is required by the standards, and it goes through, it mentions the new accounting standard that I just referenced in regards to leases. It mentions any estimates that we have to take into consideration. So it references the actuarial valuations that are done in relation to the police and fire pension and the other post-employment benefits that we have to take a look at. It would mention if we had any disagreements or issues with management, which we're happy to say we don't have any. So overall, I'd like to say it's a boring letter, which is a very good thing. And attached to it then as well are the adjustments that we make through our audit process, just so those are communicated to you all as well. So, so that is just required communication, nothing exciting, which is a good thing. And but something that we do have to go through with everyone. So I know I ran through stuff quick, but wanted to keep the meeting moving for you all. So if anybody else has any questions.
So, thank you. As you said, this is a lot to digest, and it was just on my desk for the first time. So, are we able to contact you, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, if you have questions, certainly happy to, answer those questions as you're looking through and analyzing the report. Again, it's a lot of information to try to take in a short period of time, and so if questions do come up, certainly Debbie or others in the city may have answers to those questions, but we can certainly step in and help answer in relation to what's in here as well.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to number 3, is public forum addressing city business. We have 2 speakers. We have a Charlie Stocker, code enforcement issues, and Peter Hugh, camping ban ordinance. I make a motion that we give them 5 minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
Mr. Charlie Stocker? Oh, okay. Well, we'll go to Mr. Peter Hugh.
He was just here.
Huff.
I think he's here.
Oh, sorry, I always say it incorrectly. Forgive me.
That's all right.
You know, you
It's,
have 5 minutes, and
It's
1
been
minute
said
I'll
much
let you
worse
know.
than that before, so
Okay.
don't even worry about it. I just wanted to come and say thank you to the council and to a lot of the folks who are present here. Last time I stood before you was trying to call to mind the proverb that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And so thanks for slowing down. Thanks for finding a way to get there together. Thanks for taking a vote for a bit of collaboration, trusting the process and trusting each other. Thanks especially to the 2 council members, Betsy and Nate, who participated in that collaboration process. And especially thanks to Chief Ford for his engaging the work in good faith, honestly, openly. Even when he was sick, just his commitment, the commitment of all the participants to be there, to do the hard work, was really admirable. It's not that it wasn't difficult, but difficult can be inspiring as well. It's not that there was no conflict, but I think that we don't have to be a conflict-avoidant community to get to a good place together, as long as we're willing to hold on to each other. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that. I firmly believe that the only way that we thrive is together. There's no other path. There's no way for some of us to thrive while some of us struggle, some of us to be included while some of us are excluded. And so the decision to slow down and to go together was a decision not just about what we were doing on the ordinance, what the action that you all are going to take on the ordinance, but it was a decision about who we are. In organizational dynamics, there used to be this distinction made between task decisions and identity decisions. Some decisions were just about stuff that you were going to do, and other decisions were bigger, more important about who you wanted to be. And over the last number of years, organizational dynamics as a discipline has shifted and said, well, there is no such thing as a decision that isn't an identity decision. That even in the smallest tasks, we're deciding who we're going to be and how we're going to be together. And so we made a decision, you all made a decision on the kind of community you wanted to be. And the collaboration group wasn't just tasked with addressing some nuts and bolts. We were trying to find together a new way of being community, a different way of being together, how we relate to one another. And so the collaboration, the inclusion, the sharing space, the sharing power, the sharing ourselves, forge something new, not just amendments to a resolution, but hopefully one more step in a track record to being a different kind of community together. And so we practice kind of an unfamiliar way, but hopefully the more that we practice it, the more familiar and the more natural it becomes, the easier it becomes to do. The process, I think, actually heals us. We make hopefully better and better decisions, but the process of going together is itself part of our healing. I was reading recently the Surgeon General's report on inclusion and community, that inclusion and community have healing benefits. That apart from what we do together, simply doing it together heals us and makes us better, makes us stronger. That inclusion and connection make us stronger. Theologically, as a pastor, I believe very deeply that the love of God is not something that's given to me as a reward for the good that I've done. The love of God is given to me unconditionally, and it's the only hope that I have of ever being or doing any good at all. And so in the same way, as a community, I believe we have to initiate with inclusion. We have to initiate with belonging. We have to initiate with connection, and you're a part of this community. Thank you. In order to get to a place where folks are healed. And so I just want to suggest that as we've practiced something new, where we go from here is that we need to look at some of the root causes. We need to address together the difficult fact that Alton has a poverty rate that's over twice the national average. And again, leaning on my theological roots, I don't believe there's any reconciliation without repair. I don't believe there's any deliverance without confession. And I don't believe there's any healing without diagnosis. To get to the root causes, where we see symptoms like homelessness coming from. We've got to address poverty together as something that's on our agenda as right now a defining feature of Alton. But it doesn't have to be a permanent defining feature of Alton. The only way that we're going to get over it is together. Thanks.
5 minutes. Perfect. Mr. Charlie Stocker? I'm sorry. You have 5 minutes, and you're at 4 minutes. I will let you know.
Figured I'd let them finish. Good evening. My name's Charlie Stocker. Here to talk about code enforcement. But before I get into the heart of it, let me share a perspective that I utilize from time to time. Albert Einstein, while he was researching quantum mechanics, is credited with coming up with the non-medical definition of insanity. Insanity will occur in any given situation when we keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. In my postgraduate training program, my mentor put it a little simpler than that, and he merely said that if you keep doing the same thing you've always done, you're going to always get the same result you've always gotten. In code enforcement in Alton, since I moved here in 2005, has struggled at best and been, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, very ineffective. The part that seems to be most ineffective is when there's a violation and somebody is cited and they either, for whatever reason, they ignore the city and their efforts to enforce it. They either don't pay the fine or they pay the fine and still don't come up to code. As a result, in the last 3 years, as of August 30th, the city has spent just north of $900,000 to tear down 60 houses. There's currently 137 houses on the demolition list. Based on the average cost of per house for the last 3 years, that will cost the city somewhere north of $2 million to tear down those 137 houses. In my estimation, that's a huge problem. When these houses fall through the cracks and the city doesn't have an effective way to keep these houses from languishing and falling literally into disrepair to the point where they can't be saved, that's a problem. I wished I could tell you what Mr. Caffey and the mayor's thoughts on code enforcement is, but unfortunately, since July, I've been trying to get a meeting with Mr. Caffey, and since September with the mayor, and so far have not been successful. So quite frankly, I've given up thinking that that's going to happen. Under that definition of insanity, I've passed beyond that. So I'm not going to try to get a meeting with either one of them anymore. I'm left to only guess whether Mr. Caffey and the mayor think that current code enforcement in Alton is a problem or not. And the only guesses I can come up with is either A, they don't think code enforcement's a problem, or B, they think code enforcement's a problem, but for some reason don't seem to want to make any significant, impactful changes to make it more effective. Unless it changes, you're going to keep getting the same results. This list of 137 houses is going to continue to grow. I've talked with some of the alder folks. Mr. Keener and I were just talking about different cities, Edwardsville in particular, that has an extensive code enforcement program already on their books. I'm not sure if the city...
You have 1 minute.
I'm not sure if the city has looked into that or not. If Mr. Caffey and the mayor are not going to address this issue, this will fall to the city council to address. Thanks to Betsy, she tried to do something to address it, and it wasn't successful because the mayor vetoed it. I would urge y'all to continue to try to make changes. Even if he vetoes it, at least you're doing something instead of doing the same thing. For myself, under the heading of the definition of insanity, I'm not going to be going through the city anymore since I couldn't meet with the mayor or Mr. Caffey. So instead, I'm doing something different. I am currently shopping this story to the news press, both print and the news stations. I've had 2 conversations with the reporter from the Post-Dispatch. She's on vacation this week, and I'll be talking to her further next
5
week.
minutes is up. Sorry. Thank you.
So hopefully y'all keep this up. Thank you.
5 is audit of accounts. May I get a motion and a second, please?
Make a motion.
Second.
Any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
Number 6 is a laid-over resolution to introduce an ordinance adopting Title VII, Chapter 19 of the City Code of Ordinances prohibiting camping on public property within the city of Alton. That's a laid-over resolution, so someone speak up for me, please.
I make
What, please?
Make a motion.
You need a motion? Yes.
We've got some amended language, and I don't know if we've got it in front of us, though. So do we end up motion to approve first?
Yes, you have to.
Well, you can just make a motion in a second, and then you can make a motion to amend, right?
Yeah. I don't know that we've got the amended language in front of us. I think there might have been miscommunication on that.
Whatever the chief submitted is in your packet.
Oh, okay. So this is the amended?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I was looking for the old and the new.
Right.
Sorry about
Right.
that.
You're
Okay.
right. I'm
So
with
we'll
you.
introduce this then, so we don't need to introduce an amended.
I would go ahead and do it that way since you guys have been laying over the original. I think it'd be cleaner.
Yeah.
If you just make a motion in a second.
May I get a motion and a
Okay.
second?
Already motioned.
Motion,
Second.
second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Well,
Nope.
Oh.
Now you're gonna,
I would like to
Now
make a
we're gonna have
motion
for the
to
amended.
introduce the amended language as presented in the packet.
Need a second?
Second.
All right.
Now, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
Number 7 is...
Nope, now,
I'm sorry.
so now
we have to...
now you have to vote on the amended.
amended resolution.
Yep.
May I get a first and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Now, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
Number 7 is a resolution the Alton Police Department has recommended to offer for sale a certain item of surplus property, specifically a 2016 Ford Taurus, with proceeds from the sale being deposited into the City of Alton Automotive Supplies Fund. May I get a motion and a second? Motion.
second.
Any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
8 is a resolution to commence with demolition proceedings concerning 1621 Walker Street. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second. Any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
Number 9 is a resolution to commence with demolition proceedings concerning 2117 Johnson Street. May I have a motion and a second, please?
I make a motion.
Second.
Any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
Number 10 is a resolution adopting Title II, Chapter 20 to the City Code of Ordinances regarding the establishment of an Education and Youth Matters Committee. May I have a motion and a second?
I make a motion.
Second.
Any questions?
I have some questions. So who's this? Who's this?
Yeah. Well, with all that's been going on with our youth in and out of the school system, I think we as councilmen should kind of be more involved in those areas and actually begin to collaborate with the high school, the superintendent, and bring stakeholders in to be at the table as well.
Okay, I agree with that. Why, I do, on the expenditures and reporting, this committee won't have funds, will it? Any funding would still remain.
I mean, usually you don't let you raise money, sometimes that'll happen, but that's just a language that you have in most of your committees, all your committees on, in the code.
This is an ad hoc committee?
We actually are amending the code to add it, just like we did Riverfront Commission.
So the Riverfront Commission, when it acts upon something, it only recommends. It doesn't have any authority. Are we saying that this committee's set up as the Riverfront Commission? Because it's kind of confusing that I think somewhere in here it says that they'll ask council for money. Did I misread that?
It might be in there. We didn't have a lot of guidance. We just, Alderwoman Brown brought it and asked for us to draft it, and so that's what we did, and we used just the language that was requested. So if you want to amend it, that's fine. If you guys want to talk about it, that's fine. This is really just a draft. So.
But that committee couldn't spend money
No.
without coming to council first.
No, we're not asking the city for no money or anything like that. We're just asking for involvement within the lives of our youth. And just being aware, because a lot of incidents have happened which have taken us by surprise because we don't have our hands on the pulse of the school district or anything like that. And I think we should be able to do that.
So how come when you set up the establishment of members, how come you didn't say like one should be from the school board, one should be from the Boys and Girls Clubs, one should be from the YWCA, so it ensures that we have the right people in this?
We can discuss that.
So how would you like to go forward? You table it until next session and we can amend it?
It's up to you guys if you want to make amendments to it or you want to make it more specific.
Rosie, are you okay to go that direction?
Yeah.
Can I do layover for
I'll make a motion to table to the next committee of the whole.
Okay.
I don't think we use layover anymore. Do we use layover or are we saying table?
The first time, remember, it's the first and the
Okay,
second
then
only.
I'd
and
like to
then-
layover, make a motion to layover.
Second. That's it. All right. Here's the order. Number 11, resolution. The officials of the Department of Planning and Development are hereby authorized and directed to purchase real property identified by the attached parcel index numbers from the Madison County Tax Agent. May I have a motion and a second?
motion?
Second.
And
Any questions?
yeah, do we have plans on what to do with these properties?
We would be acquiring all those properties for demolition. So it obviously would save us the time of trying to acquire court orders to tear down those subject properties.
And then what about after we've torn it down? Is that part of a longer plan?
Obviously, we would have the opportunity to dispose of those lots if there were interest, but yeah, no immediate plans beyond the proposed demolition.
Okay.
So we have to buy them from Madison County? Is that what we're doing?
Madison County trustee, the agent acting on behalf of Madison County.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott,
Aye.
Keener,
Aye.
Allen,
I'm going to abstain.
McAfee,
No.
Strable,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
5 ayes, 1 nay, 1 abstain.
12 is a resolution that the city clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the attached notice of sale for 2807 North Street for 3 consecutive weeks in a qualified newspaper published in the city of Alton. I need a motion and a second, please. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott,
Aye.
Keener,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
McAfee,
Aye.
Strable,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
13 is a resolution adopting a policy that encourages equity, eligible, and minority participation goals for all municipal procurement and public works projects. May I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott,
Aye.
Keener,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
McAfee,
Aye.
Strable,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.
Number 14 is discussion.
Yes, ma'am, I got something. Okay. I don't really know who to direct this to, but I'm going to say that this veto the veto that the mayor proposed, okay, on October the 11th, he vetoed the resolution for the new code enforcement director. So on the 25th of October, the council should have had the right to vote on that veto. On November the 8th, we voted 8-5 votes to adopt the ordinance. So as far as I'm concerned, your veto is illegal. And if you don't, I will pursue it. I'll go to IML to verify this. But his veto, as far as I'm concerned, is not legal. Now, it really doesn't matter to me because it's probably never going to happen that we're going to get a code enforcement director. I'm just complaining that the process was not done right. And Rodney Cappy sat up there and strong-armed us that night because you weren't here, Tanya, and told us that we had to wait until the next meeting, which is tomorrow night. Not right. I'm sorry. The council gets back down on so many things anymore. This is wrong. This is wrong. And the other thing that I want to complain about, I was approached today about coming to a meeting tomorrow, which is not even 24 hours for the meeting. I texted our council coordinator twice to ask why was the purpose of the meeting and not one answer. I want to know why we can't be told what the meeting is about so that if we have questions, we have time to think about it and get our questions before we attend these meetings. I can't go to the meeting. It was not even offered if I could come in at another time, which I won't do now. So that's my piece that I'm speaking. I don't know why we're not told what the meeting is about. Anybody going to comment on it? Why is it a big secret that we can't tell the alderman why the meeting is being called?
Well, I can address why I didn't text back. I didn't have my cell phone and I was in the office all day. So if you would have called the office, then I would have been.
I shouldn't have to call the office. You should have called me. I don't want any explanation. Mayor, you tell me, why are we not told what the meeting is about?
It wasn't designed to not tell you what the meeting was about. The ones that called in were explained to what the meeting was about, and so it was unfortunate you weren't made aware of that, and I do apologize because that was not the intention of calling me, not knowing, letting you know what the meeting was about.
I shouldn't have to call.
Okay.
I'm an alderman. You should be calling me to make sure that I come to the meeting. I'm done. Thank you. I'm done.
I have a question. When a house burns down, it's pretty definite that the house has to be torn down, and it comes up on the demolition pretty quick. My question is, does the city check into the status? I know they have to check into the status of the property. If it's owned by a bank
usually there's insurance on that property. I mean, if there's a mortgage, you have to have insurance. Does the city pursue the insurance company to be reimbursed for the tear down? Because if it's claimed as a total loss, they're going to give, let's say, $40,000 to the person who owns the property. Doesn't that person have a legal responsibility, or should be told, hey, you have to pay us the $7,900 that we paid to have your house torn down with the proceeds that you got from the insurance policy?
So typically, I mean, I don't know, Greg, if you want to jump in, but
Yes, if there is a fire damaged property, yes, we verify if there is insurance in place or not. Yes, there are provisions under state statute before they can settle that claim. If the municipality has to undertake demolition procedures, we get reimbursed for that cost under the settlement of the insurance claim. So yes, we do all follow those procedures.
Okay, good, because, that helps us with those demolition costs for each house.
Anybody else? Next 15 is adjournment.
I make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
Need a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Elliott.
Aye.
Keener.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
McAfee.
Aye.
Strable.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Meehan.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, no absent.